Okay, picture this. You're a music mogul. You've got millions, maybe billions in the bank. And then, in a flash, you're inside prison walls with a knife at your throat. We're about to break down the absolutely shocking moments that threw Sean Diddy Combs into the heart of real danger, and the secret survival strategies he had to learn and learn fast. So, let's get right into it.
I mean, it's a fall from grace that's just hard to even wrap your head around. 1 minute, you're living in penthouses. The world is your oyster. And the very next, it's flashing police lights and the sound of steel doors slamming shut. This wasn't just some high-profile arrest. It was a life of insane privilege getting flipped upside down into a brutal reality in a single heartbeat.
And that's where we're going to start. Section 1. From fame to fear. Because once those steel doors slam shut, you learn a really sobering lesson, and you'll learn it quick. These walls, they don't discriminate.
Just look at the contrast here. On one side, you have the mogul's world. We're talking total power, absolute control, and unimaginable luxury. And on the other, the inmate's reality. Vulnerability, chaos, and danger around every corner. See, inside prison, your fame is actually a liability. And your money? Well, it can't buy you safety. It's a complete reset of all the rules you thought you knew.
Here's the brutal, simple truth of it all. Inside, vulnerability is universal. It doesn't matter who you are. For someone who commanded an entire empire, this had to be the ultimate reality check. That whole illusion of being untouchable, it just shatters, gone, in an instant.
So, let's get into the next part, the unwritten rules. Because if you want to survive, you've got to learn how to navigate the prison ecosystem. We're talking about an invisible, brutal social code that governs every single interaction.
And these right here, these are the core tenets of that code. First up, arrogance is fatal. You walk in there with an ego, you're basically painting a target on your own back. Trust? That becomes the only real currency you have. And respect? Well, it's not given freely. It's either earned or, more often than not, it's forced. And this last one is so crucial. Every single glance, every step, every word counts. A minor gesture that you wouldn't even think twice about on the outside. In there, it can have absolutely deadly consequences.
You know, this all boils down to what's called the prison hierarchy. Think of it as these invisible power structures. It's all about clusters of influence, silent codes, and your reputation, which, believe me, decides everything. It's this super complex social map, but it's not written down anywhere. You have to learn it on the fly through constant, high-stakes observation. One wrong move, and you're done.
Which brings us right to the central ordeal. This is the moment where all those unwritten rules are put to the ultimate test. A blade at the throat.
So it all kicks off with what seems like just a casual encounter out in the yard. You know, some idle chatter, the kind of thing that creates this thin layer of normalcy in a place that's anything but normal. It feels routine, but that feeling is about to get completely shattered.
All it takes is one misread signal, one wrong look, and the whole situation just spirals out of control. See, the tension in a prison is always there. Simmering, right under the surface, just waiting to explode. And for a high-profile guy like Diddy, you better believe that tension is amplified 1,000 times over.
And then, bam! It happens. In the blink of an eye, the situation becomes life-threatening. The cold metal of a blade just appears out of nowhere, and every illusion of safety and control you might have had is just gone. The air gets thick, and every single one of your instincts is screaming at you.
So let's just pause right here for a second. I want you to really think about this. In that frozen instant, you've got a blade at your throat. What is your first move? What do you do? Because literally every option you have could be your last.
And that brings us to the Survivor's Playbook, Section 4, Mind over Muscle. Because in a situation like that, it's not really about how you fight, it's all about how you think.
So the strategy really breaks down into 3 critical steps. Okay, step 1, you've got to weaponize your words. Calm, measured language becomes your #1 tool. Step 2, map your alliances, and do it fast. You have to figure out who's a friend and who's a foe in that exact moment. And finally, step 3, master psychology. This is huge. It's all about keeping up a facade of calm even when you're in the middle of absolute chaos. Because believe me, inmates are testing your reactions, always.
And this really highlights the core lesson here, right? Brute force is what your instincts tell you to do. It's reactive, but it's also really limited. Mental agility, on the other hand, is strategic, it's observant, and it's decisive.
In an arena like this, strategic thinking is a way sharper weapon than just physical strength.
So the key takeaway is really this. In these moments, mental agility is sharper than steel. Diddy's ability to control his tone, his timing, his entire perception of the situation, that was everything. That's what saved him.
So, okay, the immediate threat is gone. But what's left? What happens after? That brings us to our final section, the lessons of survival and the transformation that always follows something like this.
And this is where his fame becomes this crazy double-edged sword. Think about it. On the one hand, yeah, it paints a massive target on your back. Everyone knows who you are. But on the other hand, it can give you some really unexpected leverage. Maybe some inmates are drawn to the notoriety. Maybe the guards treat you a little differently. It's this violent collision of your outside reputation and the inside reality.
And let's be clear, this isn't some cool scene from a movie. The reality is that survival isn't glamorous. It's raw, relentless, and unforgiving. You know, the headlines outside become clickbait, but the person who survived is left to navigate the real, quiet consequences of that trauma.
So what can we really take away from all this? Well, first, vulnerability is universal. I don't care who you are, nobody is untouchable. Second, real security isn't about locks and keys. It's about being able to predict human behavior. Third, resilience. That's something that gets forged in mere seconds of crisis. And finally, you learn that the balance between power and your own mortality is incredibly fragile.
Which leaves us with this final, really powerful question to think about. When everything is stripped away, all the fame, the money, the control, what is power really? What does it actually mean?